Hi, I'm Nicole Kristoff, the Deputy Director of Crime Stoppers of Houston. Thanks for joining us again for another weekly chat with Crime Stoppers. And as always, I have my trusty sidekick,
Andy, Director of Victim Services and Victim Advocacy for Crime Stoppers of Houston. And we are on episode 4.
Number 4. So we're still surprised that anybody's watching this, but we're glad and appreciative, so keep on tuning in. Today we're talking about FSRAs. That's a shortened term for what most people call hit and run.
Or failure to stop and render aid.
Right, and those are the hardest cases to solve.
I've been doing this as a victim advocate for 27 some odd years, and unequivocally I can tell you these are the most difficult cases to solve. Number one, because first of all, you very rarely do you have witnesses.
Right.
And number two, it's just so hard for investigators to piece these cases together.
Exactly.
So a majority of them sadly still remain unsolved.
Right. We had Crime Stoppers of Houston actually featured over 100 FSRAs last year alone, and this year we're only mid-February. Oh, by the way, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. But just midway through February, we're on track to double that number for 2019.
I know. Well, you and I started noticing the trend. We started getting more and more, unsolved cases involving hit and run fatalities or hit and run periods. So obviously we're seeing it, increase, which is a sad reality of the cases we're in.
It is. But I will say Crime Stoppers has solved several cases, some very notable ones. One that I find particularly interesting was from late last year rather. The hit and run happened in December of 2015, and we got a tip on it in August of 2018. And it was a fatal hit and run, and this guy probably would have gotten away with it 100% if not for that tipster. And we had another one you were talking about. We had
another one that I was looking at that probably a lot of Houstonians will remember, and that was Chelsea Norman, who was riding a bicycle coming home from Whole Foods in Midtown. And again, that was a Crime Stoppers tip that led to the arrest of Margaret Mayer. And guess what? She is serving 15 years in prison. 15. And I just checked, and she is still in prison. So she has now been in prison now for over 4 years.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't realize this is a second-degree felony.
What makes it a felony? Because if you just get in a regular car accident and you stick around, you probably wouldn't get in that much trouble. Where's the break there?
The key is if you hit someone and you do not stay at the scene. And in many times, sometimes you might hit someone or something, it's not your fault.
Right.
And it's important to remain at the scene. Is once you flee the scene, or as I like to say, you run and you're done.
That's right.
That's what can happen.
That's when it becomes serious.
That's when it becomes a criminal offense.
And we had a case where we were asked to feature, they wanted to do a supplemental reward, and I sent him the paperwork, and the donor was actually really upset that it didn't say murder on it because it was a fatal hit and run, but because of the way that the law is written, it's FSRA fatality.
It's always disturbed me how we code certain crimes to kind of make it look lesser than it is. Failure to stop and render aid just doesn't sound
as menacing
as when you actually kill somebody, when you ran them over and you flee the scene. And I'll tell you another thing is, at one time you actually had a statute of limitations.
Are you kidding?
No, this is something that we had to fight in the legislature. Believe it or not, you had 3 years to solve a hit and run fatality. And as we alluded to earlier, we all know how difficult these cases are.
Right.
And we just thought it was ludicrous to put a time frame on it. It took me 3 sessions, 6 years to get it changed. It is now unlimited, like in any other homicide. So these cases, just like in any other homicide, anybody can come forward and give us a tip.
So one of the things that I found interesting are the reasons why people wouldn't stay. If you hit somebody and then you take off, what are some of the reasons? And what I found in my research was that they're afraid of getting arrested. They might have a slight criminal record. They might have a DWI or be drinking while that. But a lot of times it's somebody that's just flat out scared.
They panic.
And they panic. A lot of cases, the conditions are such that it's dark and they might not have seen the person. You know, we see it all the time, people getting hit trying to cross the freeway in the middle of the night. It's completely not the driver's fault, but they freak out.
And this is why it's in your best interest
to always
remain
stop
at the scene.
Exactly.
Because when you leave the scene, you
That's
might not be at fault, but
Right.
if you leave the scene, you are at fault, and then there will be a criminal charge on you.
That's right. Well, I was also found in my research, according to AAA, there were 737,000 hit and runs in the U.S. alone. So that works out to be about 43 hit and run accidents.
Every 43 seconds.
Right. Nichole can't talk today.
No, so by the time we finish doing our segment, you know,
There's been several.
There's been, you know, half a dozen, or
Exactly.
more than that actually.
Exactly.
that have
That's
happened.
just astonishing. It also said that there was almost 2,100 fatalities in 2016, and it's the highest number ever recorded since they started recording these stats. So it's just imperative that if you know somebody that has done this, if you're a body shop and somebody brings a car in and you see what appears to be human blood or hair or evidence that that car might have hit a person, or even if you think, well, maybe it was just an animal, report it to law enforcement. Those auto body shops, they don't have to report that stuff. They can just fix the car and they go about their merry way.
And that's something that's always bothered us. And that's something I think we really need to look into,
Exactly.
incorporating body shops into assisting us. Because when someone brings a vehicle in, it's obviously been damaged.
Right.
First thought in your mind should be, perhaps this might have been involved in a hit and run fatality.
Exactly, exactly. It boggles my mind. It really does, why that wouldn't already be something on the books. So any lawmakers watching us today, hey, consider the Nichole bill. But we are very serious about it. It is something that we just don't have any room for in this city,
if you
county.
go to our website right now, you will find 32 pages
of suspects.
Or unsolved hit and run fatalities and hit and runs right now. So I encourage you to look at our webpage, go under hit and run fatalities, go under hit and run, take a look at these cases. If you have any information, call us, 713-222-TIPS.
Or go to our website, crime-stoppers.org, or you can also use our mobile app that's available in over 20 languages. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Andy. Happy Valentine's Day.
Same here.